hearty welcome to the International Educational Seminar focusing on the theme Character, Family and Public Service, Building a Culture of Peace. The Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace is a worldwide network of leaders from all fields of expertise and experience who work collaboratively for world peace at local, national and international levels.
يسألونك ماذا ينفقون.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zulfiqar Kazmi has well-established credentials in the social, political, academic, and journalistic fields. He's been recognized by the President Ronald Reagan and First Lady Nancy Reagan of the U.S. for his humanitarian work in Pakistan. Mr. Kazmi arranged first official event in the history of Pak-US relationships to introduce Pakistan at US Capitol Hill at a seminar entitled Friendship for Peace and Prosperity. Mr. Kazmi contributed his efforts for passage of Brown Amendment. The Honorable Senator Hank Brown attended and addressed a recognition dinner event hosted by Mr. Kazmi on Capitol Hill. The Honorable Bill Clinton wrote a letter to Mr. Kazmi in the words, and I quote, "I hope I can count on your support as I seek to preserve the security of our nation while helping other countries to enjoy the freedoms we hold dear." Mr. Zulfiqar Kazmi is requested to give his address a welcome.
Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Imran Khan, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our sponsor, the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, along with other co-sponsors, it gives me great pleasure to welcome so many distinguished leaders of our nation to Lahore for this international educational seminar, Character, Family, and Public Service, Building a Culture of Peace. With more than 200 participants on hand have traveled here from every corner of the Pakistan to stand as delegates in this historic seminar. In this international seminar, we are considering the ways in which character, family, and public service is related to the creation of a culture of peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the IAFWP is a worldwide network of leaders from all fields of expertise and experience who work collaboratively from all fields of life. The Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace affirms that the key to peace lies in addressing what we may call the internal or cultural conditions which give rise either conflict or harmony. For this reason, along with the United Nations, the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace focuses on the goal of building of a culture of peace. Beginning in July of 1999, shortly after its inaugural assembly, the Interreligious International Federation for World Peace began sponsoring a series of international seminars around the world, dedicated to promoting moral renewal, the strengthening of the families, encouraging responsible citizenship, and developing a global consciousness and attitude of living for the sake of others. These basic goals are central to the founding vision and ideas of the IAFWP and have been expressed in the words of its founder, Reverend Sun Myung Moon. We are hopeful that through the efforts of the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, in the 21st century, we will witness dramatic progress on the path to peace. Finally, I want to express my deep appreciation to our chief guest, the national hero of Pakistani nation, Mr. Imran Khan, for his kind presence. Ladies and gentlemen, Imran Khan is not only a cricket hero of this country, but he is also an ideal for every social worker. As we know, Imran Khan conceived, planned, and subsequently mobilized the people of Pakistan to build the only state-of-the-art cancer hospital of this country, where 90% of the patients receive treatment without charge, free charge. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as we are exploring the theme of this international seminar, character, family, and public service, building a culture of peace, Imran Khan is a true Pakistani public servant who practically contributed to this theme from last many years. We are also thankful to each of you for choosing to participate in this momentous event. We value your presence here, and our members will do everything it can to make your participation here more productive and comfortable. God bless you, your work, and your family. Now, I would like to request our chief guest, Mr. Imran Khan, to address you.
Mr. Kazmi, the President of Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, I feel very honored that you consider me worthy of opening this seminar on family, character, and public service. I really feel honored. I'll try and talk about the various subjects which you have mentioned, because all of them, need a separate paper each. But I'll try very briefly talking about religious values and character building, and what can religion do in promoting world peace? Education, specifically as education is evolving in Pakistan, and I'll be very brief. Family, which is, especially in the Western countries, it is a very serious subject because of the problem the family system is going through. Public service, my experience in it, and world peace. Majority of people in Pakistan have a very strong faith in the hereafter. They believe in the life after death. And therefore, they were willing to sacrifice their today for the life after death. And so that was the only explanation I could see why people, a boy working at a tea stall would give all his money, or a man standing, a vendor, a small shop, a pawn shop, people would just keep giving money. And I began to realize that this Pakistan has tremendous strength in the majority of people in this country because they believe in the hereafter. In other words, given the opportunity, these people will be able to give tremendous sacrifices for their country. And so from there, I ended up in politics, and I know, in most forums we are not allowed to talk about politics because it's a taboo subject. But I need to talk about it simply because politics is the ultimate public service. But one of the reasons was that I began to realize that, and here again, I know people are very cynical about religion. So therefore, I don't want to use the word religion because people are used to religion being used for political purposes. And so therefore, I'm very hesitant to say that it was because of religious reasons. But it was because of one reason, above all, that I began to, religion tells you that you are on this earth for a purpose. Religion tells you that because there is a life after death, your life in this world is a test. How you lead your life is a test of what you will benefit in the hereafter. So once that entered my mind and I believed in it, it's one thing saying that this is what religion says, is a completely different thing to believe in it. Believe me, it's a very difficult thing to believe in life after death. Most of my friends I know who are Muslims, but they don't have that faith in life after death. So it was when I was convinced that there is a life after death, then your way of living on this earth changes. So you start thinking that if there's another life to go to, how in this world, how can I lead my life which will which will benefit other human beings so that the Almighty will be pleased, and so I will have a better hereafter. So I guess it's a bit selfish too, because you start thinking about your hereafter. But that was the main reason when I reached a point where I thought that if I have to live in Pakistan, this is my life, I must try and do something. And the ultimate way of helping the vast majority of the people was through politics. And we know what politics has been going on in Pakistan. We know in most of the third world has been destroyed by politicians. Therefore, for world peace, I strongly believe that unless and until there's peace with justice, where everyone is dealt fairly, I think that there will always be conflict in the world. Thank you very much.
As a token of our appreciation, I request Mr. Zulfiqar Kazmi to present a cap of the Federation on behalf of the Federation to Mr. Imran Khan.
What color you like? Okay. I would like to.
We have another special guest, Mr. Sheldon Rappaport, Principal Officer of the U.S. Consulate General Lahore, is also requested to accept a cap from the Federation.
We are showing two videos. One is global implications of family values in the 21st century. And the other one is celebrating 39.6 million couples worldwide. That is also a video about Blessing 97. You will be listening the speech of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is well known to every Muslim because of his good work in America and around the world.
Family is the cornerstone of nation. But what is the cornerstone of marriage? The greatest strength of all is the strength of God Himself. And if God is the cornerstone of your marriage shall never fail.
At the moment, we are very honored to have with us the former President of Pakistan, Sardar Farooq Ahmad Khan Leghari.
Honorable and distinguished speakers and participants, Assalamu alaikum. It gives me great pleasure to be here present with you at the inaugural session of this conference called by the Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace. There was always need for guidance from God who created the universe and everything that there exists in the universe today. I have been asked to speak about character, family, and public service, building a culture of peace. Subsequently, there's going to be a discussion on the moral foundations of a culture of peace, on the moral, social, and global significance of the family, on interreligious cooperation and dialogue among civilizations, on international public service, and on renewing the United Nations. I believe very strongly that unless there is a moral basis for everything, for every action of ours, unless there is a moral basis for organizations that deal with human beings, and unless there is a moral basis even for activities that would normally be classified as totally mundane, as activities which would normally not have an ethical contact, even there, without a moral content, you see only a desolate landscape emerging. There is no sustainability if there is no morality. And it's important, I think, for us to understand this when we talk of society, when we talk of building a culture of peace, because a culture of peace has to depend on so many other factors. The subject is so vast and the interactions are so great that it'll perhaps take many books to very clearly demarcate and to the subject, and also to throw some light on its variegated aspects. But I would like to try and sum up as briefly as I can what I think are some of the very important, fundamental, underlying concepts that need to be focused upon. I think it's very important for building a culture of peace to look at not only character of human beings, of organizations, not only to look at families, not only to look at public service and the details of the public service activities and organizations, but also to try and determine if there are any connections between them. And I think it is because we seem to look at some of these matters in isolation that we lose sight of the basic faults, and we therefore also cannot comprehend the answers to these questions. We cannot therefore suggest remedies because we are not looking at the fundamental interconnections. And I would like to begin with the relationship between governance, between the market, that is economic activities, and the family. And I think it's important for us, especially in Pakistan, to do that, because we have, ever since independence, despite a lot of promise at the time of independence that we would be forging ahead in every activity, that we would build a society here based on justice and peace, a society based on Islamic principles, we seem to have been retrogressing almost in every field. And our society has come to a point where many people think that we might be imploding, or we might be exploding, we might be fracturing at at the seams almost everywhere in our society. And we have, unfortunately, a fairly desolate landscape to look at. We have in Pakistan today a society that has become intolerant of each other's views, that sanctions killings of opposing personalities, that sanctions killings of people who belong to different sects, even within the Islamic system, that allow people to become so intolerant that they even deny the other side their lives, their freedoms. It's a landscape which I call desolate or near desolate, because the people have reached a stage where they appear to be hopeless. Our sociologists, our politicians, our economists, they seem to fail to understand the linkages. People who sit in judgment over us, our judges, our courts of justice, our justice system, they fail to understand the interconnections between the rule of law, between democracy, between free market economies, and between the family. And this is something that I feel needs to be focused upon and highlighted. You look at the market economy, and you will see that a free market in any complex society, and let me remind you that almost all societies in the world today have become complex societies. Great thing about democracy is that it permits free choice for human beings. It provides relatively level playing fields for human beings to advance. You cannot have total equality between human beings in everything, but democracy creates a situation whereby people from different walks of life or different social stratas, they get an opportunity, at least some form of a level playing field, to exercise free choice and to advance in life. And how do we get that in a society that does not play by the rules of the game? How do you get that where there is no justice system? How do you get good judges where you can't find people of integrity? You have to carry a lamp around in daylight, as one great Muslim philosopher said, and you can't find a man, you can't find a human being. We've reached that stage, but there is hope. And where does that hope lie? That hope lies in the family. That hope lies in the family because even where the landscape has become desolate, even in the post-communist European countries and Russia, where the human spirit was so subdued over 50 years that people did not even wish to make free choices. Even in such societies, the hope again lies in the family. And that is why I think that the emphasis that this sister organization of yours, the Family Federation for World Peace, the emphasis that it places on family is fundamental. Because after all, the family is the fundamental building block of civilizations, has been all along. There have been societies and there have been experiments carried out in the 19th century and earlier and later and in the 20th century, whereby the family, as you and I understand it, was kept to a side and another family was sought to be created. But each of those experiments ended up in a gross and total failure because they had nothing to do, and they were not connected to the natural human condition, the human biological condition, the way the human mind works. And that is why it is very important to look at the family in the traditional sense. There is much greater emphasis on family. There is much greater emphasis on keeping intact the family system. All the rules, the regulations that have been laid down in the Quran, and not only in the Quran, in God's message throughout the ages, from the times of Abraham and after him and before him, from Adam himself, who was the first prophet. The emphasis has been on the family. Why? Because that is the fundamental building block of all civilization. Without family, civilization is not possible. If the family is healthy, society is healthy. If the family and society are healthy, then nations are healthy. Because the family is breaking up, because the foundations of the family are breaking up, that society is going to break up. There's going to be violence and increasing violence there. There's going to be hatred amongst people within that system. All the effort that was put in over 2.5 centuries of that nation's political and historical life will just end up in smoke if the family unit breaks up the way it is breaking up. That whatever the political system, whatever the social or economic or cultural progress that a society may make, the link up of the family is fundamental. Whether the system is primitive, is agricultural or industrial or post-industrial, the fact remains that the family will continue to play a major role in creating a culture for peace. I'd like to thank once again Mr. Zulfiqar Kazmi and the Pakistan chapter of the Interreligious and International Federation, a big name, Federation for World Peace. And I think this effort is commendable, and I'm sure that the learned intellectuals and scholars who will be speaking in different sessions will impart a wealth of knowledge and information. And I'd be very, very grateful to the organizers of this conference if they could present us or allow us to have access to all the speeches, the transcripts of those speeches that are going to be made in this, delivered in this conference. And I wish to congratulate you, Mr. Kazmi, and your organization, and Chairman Kwak also. I don't know whether he's coming here or not, or whether he has already arrived. But I'd like to thank you also for honoring me and giving me this opportunity to speak to such a distinguished gathering. Thank you very much.
Our lot of appreciations and thanks go to our honorable keynote speaker. He always speaks very high about the family values. and he always gave new dimensions to our different subjects. At the moment, I believe that he has given a very, very scholarly views to our participants for our further sessions. I'm really grateful for your kind presence and delivering your speech as our keynote speaker. Bottom line of our honorable keynote speaker was that we should not go to bickerings and differences. We should see the similarities for the harmony of the world and for the world peace. I'm very grateful, and on behalf of Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace, once again, I thank you for your kind presence. And now, we would like to avail an opportunity for presidential remarks. I would request to Sardar Khaitaran, please come over and deliver his presidential remarks. We have very short time.
It's an honor for me to be here with you, coming from so far. It was naturally your love which brought us here. For Interreligious and International Federation for World Peace Conference.
Mauzood Khawateen o Hazrat, इंटररिलीजियस इंटरनेशनल फेडरेशन फॉर वर्ल्ड पीस की जानिब से मैं इस सेमिनार के तीसरे बाज़ाब्ता सेशन में आपको खुश आमदीद कहता हूँ। हमारे इस सेशन के सदर हैं आपके और हमारे जनाब एतज़ाज़ अहसन। आप वफाकी वज़ीर रहे, सूबाई वज़ीर रहे, सेनेटर रहे, सेनेट में मेजॉरिटी लीडर के तौर पे रहे, अपोजिशन लीडर के तौर पे रहे, कई हैसियतें हैं आपकी। मैं समझता हूँ कि हम बहुत खुशकिस्मत हैं कि आपने हमारी इस दावत को कबूल फरमाया।
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Zulfiqar Kazmi, who has given me an opportunity to be here and read this paper out in front of you. So I begin with my reading, which is on exploring the moral foundations of a culture of peace. So it is believed that there is a relationship between different academic fields, whether a person be engaged in the contemplation of eternal varieties or whether he be observing an event. Indeed, how could it be possible to conceive of events occurring in space and time unless it be in relation to transcendent realities? Religion and philosophy concern themselves with metaphysical and moral questions that have long occupied man's consciousness. Where do we come from? Why is there suffering? What is good and evil? Is there life after death? These questions are of concern to all of us, no matter what our academic discipline. Despite the development of science and the prosperity of the economy, there are still many tragic situations throughout the world. Despite scientists' deep desire and diligent efforts, poverty, illiteracy, and disease still prevail in the advanced countries. Tensions, wars, and hostilities continue among nations. Thus, humankind continues to suffer from sorrow, distress, and pain, even in the midst of our luxuriously developed countries. Many leaders are trying to eliminate this misery and to establish true peace and stability, but the world is filled with empty words of peace, and humankind is sinking deeper and deeper into restlessness, anxiety, and fear. How has this come about? The main reason is that the standard of value which regulates humanity's behavior has been undermined as ethics and morality has lost their power. The standard of goodness has all but disappeared. No one can deny that every creature, including the human being, is a unified being with two natures, a material nature and a mind-like nature. A human is the unified being of body and mind. Animals are the unified beings of body and instinct. Plants are the unified beings of matter and directive life. And inorganic bodies are the unified beings of matter and directive energy. To practice love, a norm must be set up because a true life of love requires order. In a society where order has been destroyed, a life of love cannot be practiced in harmony. That is to say a life of love needs order, And for order, a norm is required. Norm means laws and principles which regulate a person's behavior, and these are morality and ethics. Therefore, time is too short, so I would say that we all should, unite together and work for the betterment of the world. This is what the necessity of the time. And here, so by setting up a new world order where all humankind are brothers and sisters, transcendent of national and racial boundaries, and living as one human family, we can enjoy the ideal world with true peace and happiness. In order to make such a reality, science must be evaluated from outside the realm of science. Science policy must be determined in consideration of society as a whole. We must not lose the very central point of the whole purpose. Science is not for science itself, but for the welfare of humanity. In other words, for the development of the science to have meaning in man's everyday life, humans must discuss and establish a standard of value in terms of the whole. All right? In order to deal with all the problems, man must have a clear and healthy mind so that he can function effectively. What we need is not an industrial or technological revolution, but a great revolution of human consciousness. The solution to social problem is not limited to the national sciences, to the natural sciences, but must be transdisciplinary and influencing the areas of social sciences, the arts, religion, and we all must care for the future and unite together for the betterment of the world. Thank you very much.
Our purification of soul, reforms, and the reconstruction of a peaceful culture where there is complete social balance, justice, simplicity, rationalism, and practicalism. It does not admit any separation between material and moral, mundane and spiritual life, and enjoins man to elevate, to devote all his energies to the reconstruction of life on healthy moral foundations.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen, wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin al-ma'sumin. Qala Allah تبارك وتعالى في كلامه المجيد الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. आज दुनिया अपनी तमाम तर तरक्की के बावजूद फितना फसाद की लपेट में है और इस बात की तलाश में है और दिन रात कोशिशें हो रही हैं कि इस दुनिया को अमन का गहवारा बनाया जाए। इस दुनिया में फितना फसाद के लिए एक आमिल जो इस वक्त बहुत ज़्यादा ज़माने जहलियत की तरह मौसर और बुनियादी किरदार अदा कर रहा है, वो इस माशरे में इखलाकी फ़साद का फैलना और वो इखलाकी अक़दार जो किसी भी माशरे में क़याम अमन का बायस बनती हैं, उनका ख़त्म होना है। इस माशरे में फितना और फसाद का दूसरा सबब जहालत है, इसलिए कि जिस माशरे में तालीम नहीं होगी वहाँ पर फितना और फसाद ज़्यादा होते हैं। माली फसाद, बाज़ तबकात जो हैं वो माली तौर पर इतने मुस्तहकम हैं, माल दौलत के एतबार से उनका कोई सानी नहीं है, और दूसरी तरफ इतना कमज़ोर पहलू है कि इसी माशरे के कुछ लोग नान जमी और कूतला या मूत से भी महरूम हैं।